The weather was dull that summer. It wasn't just my impression, it was something we all agreed on, the five of us. We were a group of friends whose bond went back to high school days, and now, 2 years after graduation, we were beginning to feel life's cold waves crashing over us. So when Mark suggested a camping trip in the Black Woods Forest in Maine, it didn't take much convincing. "I heard the place is haunted," Mark said, eyes gleaming, raising his brows dramatically. Mark was the clown of the group, tall, blonde, and movie star handsome in a corny way, but with a heart of gold. "Oh, great, just what we need," Sarah said sarcastically, leaning on my shoulder. Sarah was the brains of the group, long dark hair, sharp brown eyes that hid a kind heart. She'd been my best friend since we were 10, and more than that, since a year ago. "At least there'll be weak phone signal, a break from social media," Jake muttered, finally looking up from his phone. Jake was our tech guy, thin, bespectacled, with a mind that worked like Google. "I'm in. Anything to get away from this heat," said Kevin, wiping the sweat from his forehead. Kevin was the athlete, broad-shouldered, strong, and kind to a fault. He was always the helping hand. And me, I'm Layla, the cautious one. But even my skeptical soul longed for something different, something to break the monotony of my new office job. 2 days later, we found ourselves in Mark's old SUV, driving north toward Black Woods. The forest stretched for hundreds of square miles, dense, ancient, with areas said to have been untouched by humans for decades. Inside, the air was cold despite the summer heat. Towering pines and oaks blocked most of the sunlight, casting a permanent twilight gloom. The silence was heavy, broken only by the distant chirp of a bird or the rustle of something unseen. We set up camp near a crystal clear, icy lake. The first day was perfect. Grilled sausages, scary stories by the fire, Mark's exaggerated laughter echoing between the trees. I even forgot the strange feeling that had crept over me when we entered the woods, the sense that unseen eyes were watching us. The next day, we decided to explore. We left the campsite and headed deeper into the forest's dark heart. Mark led the way, singing loudly, while Jake complained about the weak signal. Sarah walked beside me, holding my hand as we stepped over tangled roots. Kevin trailed behind, making jokes about the weird mushrooms we passed. Hours later, we realized we were lost. "I'm telling you, we should take this turn," Mark said confidently. "No, we've been here before. Look, that's the same dog-shaped rock," Jake argued, pointing. The sun began sinking behind the massive treetops, darkness crawling in fast. The air grew colder, and strange nighttime sounds filled the woods, distant howls, rustling leaves, whispers that seemed to come from every direction. "This isn't funny anymore," Sarah said, hugging herself. "We need to find our way back before it's completely dark." We tried Jake's phone, no signal. Even the compass app spun wildly. "That's impossible," Jake said, voice trembling. "They say the magnetic field here is unstable because of minerals in the soil." We walked for another hour, fear creeping into our veins like poison. The trees all looked the same, every path familiar and alien at once. And then we saw it, the cabin. Hidden among thick trees, wooden and decrepit, ready to collapse. Dust and cobwebs coated the windows. The door was ajar, revealing pitch-black darkness inside. "Maybe there's a map or something," Kevin said, trying to sound hopeful. "Or maybe there's a serial killer waiting for us," Mark whispered theatrically, but no one laughed. We approached carefully. A strange silence surrounded the cabin, as if the whole forest was holding its breath. Mark pushed the door open slowly. The creak was so loud it sounded like a ghostly scream. Inside was gloom and decay. The smell of rot and damp earth was overpowering. A single table, a broken chair, a crumbling fireplace. On the walls, strange drawings, geometric symbols, eerie faces twisted in agony, scrawled in charcoal or something darker. "What is this place?" Sarah whispered, clinging to me. On the table lay an old hunting journal covered in dust. But what froze my blood was the fresh handprint in the dust. Someone had touched it recently. Then, we heard it. Footsteps outside, heavy ones. Then silence. Jake screamed. We all froze, barely breathing. Mark slowly turned toward the open doorway, where the darkness seemed thicker. "Did you hear that?" he whispered. No one answered. All we could hear were our pounding hearts. Then, a face appeared at the window. Pale, distorted, wide, empty eyes and a mouth unnaturally open. It didn't look entirely human. It stared at each of us, then vanished. "Run," Kevin shouted. We bolted from the cabin, crashing through the forest in panic. Branches whipped our faces, roots clawed at our feet. We didn't know where we were going, only that we had to get away. Finally, after what felt like forever, we heard the rush of water, the lake. We stumbled back into our campsite. Thank God, we're back. Sarah gasped. But something was wrong. Our tent was torn apart. Food scattered everywhere, the campfire cold and dead. And on a large rock by the lake, written in blood, was one word: welcome. My veins turned to ice. Whoever it was, they knew our names. What the hell is happening? Jake whispered. We need to leave. Now, I said. In the dark. We'll get lost again, Mark argued. But we can't stay here. Sarah cried. After a heated argument, we decided to wait until dawn. None of us dared sleep. We huddled around the dead fire, trying to relight it, staring into the moving shadows. Then, we heard singing. A man's voice, low, rough, singing an old tune. Hey to ho, leave your work and play. The voice circled us, coming from the woods. Come out and face us, coward, Kevin yelled, gripping a stick. The singing stopped. Then came laughter, soft, insane, dripping with malice. He's enjoying this, Jake whispered. He's enjoying our fear. Moments later, a scream pierced the forest, a woman's scream, full of agony, then silence. Was that someone else? Sarah trembled. Maybe he's trying to mess with us, Mark said weakly. We didn't investigate. We couldn't. The rest of the night was endless, filled with footsteps, whispers, and that haunting laugh. When dawn finally came, relief flooded us, until Sarah suddenly said, "Where's Kevin?" We looked around. His sleeping bag was empty. Maybe he went to the bathroom, Mark said, but his voice shook. We called his name. No answer. Then we saw it. A blood-stained scrap of fabric hanging from a tree. It was Kevin's shirt. No, Sarah gasped. We have to go. Now, I cried. We packed what we could and ran. But the forest seemed to shift around us, the paths changing, twisting. Suddenly, movement ahead, and out stepped a man in a forest ranger's uniform. His face looked kind, reassuring. Thank God, someone found us. Sarah sobbed. You kids look terrified. What happened? He asked. We told him everything. The cabin, the face, Kevin. He listened intently, then nodded. Sounds like you ran into the hunter. The hunter, we echoed. Local legend, he said gravely. A man who lost his family in these woods years ago. Went mad. Now he hunts humans, campers like you. Police have searched for him for years. Say he's real, Jake asked. Afraid so. But don't worry, I know these woods. I'll get you out safely. We thanked him and followed. For the first time, we felt hope. An hour later, I noticed something strange. You're not heading toward the main road, I said. There's a shortcut through the valley, he replied without turning. Then Sarah grabbed my arm, eyes wide. She was staring at his wrist. I looked, and saw it too. The same geometric symbol we'd seen drawn on the cabin walls, tattooed on his skin. He wasn't a ranger. He was him. I froze. It's him. The man turned, his friendly smile vanishing, replaced by a cold, deranged stare. Ah, you figured it out. Could have been easier if you hadn't. He drew a gun. Now, cooperate, or you'll end up like your friend Kevin. Mark lunged at him. The gun went off. Mark fell, screaming, clutching his shoulder. Run, he shouted, but the man aimed again. Don't move, or he dies. We obeyed. He tied our hands, dragging us to another hidden cabin, underground this time, beneath a pile of branches. Inside was hell. One room, dark, damp, reeking of death. On the walls, trophies, wallets, phones, jewelry, locks of hair. And in the corner, tools, saws, knives, meat hooks. Welcome to my humble home, he said, throwing us to the floor. Glad you could join the party. I've been lonely. Who are you? Why are you doing this? Jake cried. I'm just a hunter. This is my forest, and you are my prey, he said, stroking the blade. Out there, the world is fake. Here, I feel alive. He turned to Sarah. I'll start with you. Girls always make the prettiest sounds. He raised the knife. Sarah screamed. Then, a gunshot. The door burst open. It was Kevin, alive, bleeding from a head wound, but standing, holding a rifle. Get away from her, he shouted. Kevin, Sarah cried. The hunter spun and fired, but Kevin shot first, hitting his hand. The gun fell. They fought viciously. Kevin strong, the hunter feral and relentless. Sarah, the knife, I yelled. She saw it on the ground, crawled, and cut herself free. The hunter overpowered Kevin, choking him. "You'll die like the rest," he hissed. Sarah stood up, gripping the knife. "Get away from him." Before he could react, I threw myself at him, knocking him off balance. He fell, but rose again, laughing maniacally. "I love it when the prey." Fig.